Hey Dave, welcome to the show.
Hey, Jason. Good to be here.
Awesome. Well, tell us who you are, what you do.
My name's Dave. I'm the CEO and founder of Metajive. Metajive is a full service digital agency specializing in digital apps, longer, more complicated digital products, and websites. And
Awesome.
we're getting
And
into
you've
this.
been doing it for how long?
Oh, I've been doing this for 22 years. I built my first professional website for two snowboards when I was a junior in college.
Nice. And so, what was kind of the evolution? Like, if you kind of take yourself back, when did you really figure out you had a real business?
Probably. So just for dating myself, that college that was year about 2000, probably about 2008. So it was probably 8 years of freelancing, hiring vendors, working with partners. We ended up about 2005, 2006, hooked up with a development agency to build backends and more complicated things I couldn't do. And that really changed the evolution. And then by 2008, I think we had two or three employees. My wife joined the business as a producer and like remembered to bill the clients and fun things like that. Um, and yeah, we just kept going.
So, before then, it was really kind of you and just a bunch of contractors, or was it just you?
It was me, and then yeah, somewhere between right 2005 started getting contractors, more contractors. Then by 2008, we were probably like a team of three or four.
What made you switch? Because there's a lot of people that think, man, I don't want to manage people. I can manage myself barely. you know, I'm making good money. I want to kind of do it all. But like, what was that changing point? What was that evolution you had to go through in order to start bringing on a team?
Yeah, I think it definitely is a mental switch. I think for me, it felt very natural, and it was about stability, and it was about going okay. It wasn't about managing the people; it was knowing I could take care of the people once you're there, because you don't want to. Right, you're in a project based world, project based business, and you got to take care of these people, rain or shine. There's also a point I think you start getting really busy, and if you don't want to take care of people, the right thing to do is just raise your rates so you lose more jobs and get paid for the work you do, uh, which I didn't do. And then you just find yourself working all the time and you're just welcome for help, anything for help.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's multiple things I know I struggled with. Obviously, eventually you got over eight figures and you've sold the agency since then. What were some of the things you learned now that you had to put in place that you could have got to where you're eventually going quicker?
Yeah, I think I've definitely pondered this. I think getting the right advice at the right time is and understanding what's the right time for you is a really important piece. So, for instance, I did EO Accelerator, Entrepreneurs Org, and right, they don't know anything about agencies, but there's a lot of really good business people with a lot of really good advice. And you get someone's like, you got to read Good to Great. It's the best business book of all time. I read it. Get the right people on the bus and let them drive is amazing advice when you have amazing people and you can afford to get the right people. But I was searching for the right people to do things that I could do far too early and trying to like focus on building that business. So I think that's important. I think you can't underestimate the value of recurring revenue and just the steady clients. We have a relationship with one of the largest banks in the world that we have a team of 5 people embedded there. And that stability is one of the things that really elevated us to go to the next level. And then I think the third one isn't something that I can control, but was a huge shift for myself and the agency was over the last decade, it went from shops like mine who were the best at digital, the best at building these things, being able to work directly with the largest companies on earth because the companies were ready and could engage with you, as opposed to saying, oh, go work with 72 and Sunny, go work with Wyden, and then Wyden is hiring us, and being able to expand those.
Yeah. Yeah. What about how did your role evolve over the years? Like, meaning, like, for example, up until 2008, it was really kind of you and you're managing a couple contractors. You're like the operator. You're doing the sales. You're doing the
Yeah.
the design, the development, managing clients. When people yell at you, they're yelling at you, and then you kind of move up to the next level, which is a manager, where you're managing people, but every single damn decision is coming through you, which
Yeah.
you're even working even more.
Yeah.
And then the next three levels are architect, where you're building systems,
Yeah.
CEO, which actually now you're dictating, here's the vision, protect the culture, here's where we spend money. And then obviously owner, where you don't have to be there anymore, which not many of us make it to that level.
Yeah.
How did you evolve through those stages?
Yeah. Slowly and painfully is the honest answer. I think, again, I think I was trying to get to owner. Again, a lot of this was EO advice where you're like, you're trying to get to owner way too early and build the system, or even just get to architect. And again, if you don't have the right people, and again, I think I was trying to force the wrong people into the wrong seats, or have a role that wasn't really justified in the business. Like, it just didn't make sense to do that. So I'm definitely in between architect and CEO right now. I still am really involved in the business. I think the two biggest pieces for me, and again, a little bit of context, I love the craft of design. I would spend all day working on business strategy with clients, figuring out how we're going to do it, making sure that it still looks good, operates good, builds, the build is right, has all the quality. So it took me a long time to pull myself out of the work, half because I loved the work, and half because I really, as an agency, right, your work quality is everything. And
Mhm.
there's certain agencies, like I could tell you the guys at Jam 3, they poured every cent back into their projects to make sure they were the best that they could be, and they built just an absolute amazing business. I think there's a balance that you have to take there, and as you evolve through that, the biggest
Yeah, I think
unlock for me was hiring my executive creative director, because the other thing, and maybe it's ego and maybe it's well deserved, but I thought very highly of myself as a creative director, as a collaborator. So for me to really relinquish that, I had to get someone who was actually incredible. And I was super lucky to find the right person.
I find, I people told me when I was building my business, the good to great, and the right people in the right seat. And really all the books out there tell you the question you should be asking yourself is who? Who do you need to bring in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's half right. I think the other part is, who do you need to become? Who do you need to kind of evolve to? And it's very hard. It's kind of what I call this rubber band effect, right? So if you identify as the creative director, right, which you do, and you have passion for it, that's like who you, like, when you wake up in the morning,
Yeah.
that's who you are. I'm a creative director,
Yeah.
versus being like thinking like, and that's, I'll get to kind of the what got me out of it, because after I sold my agency, I was depressed, right? Because now I sold my identity,
Yeah.
because I was the one doing, right.
Yeah.
Now I wasn't the CEO of an agency. I wasn't an agency owner anymore, or I never reached the owner level until the second agency. I was an agency CEO. So I was like, what, who am I? I don't have my identity. And then, so you kind of snap back,
Mm-hmm.
right, to that role of like the architect, because you're like, I like building systems. And that's perfectly fine too. I always tell everybody, not everyone has to be an owner. Not everyone has to be the identity of the CEO. But if you know that, right, and then you can evolve whenever you want, or you can stay at that level.
Yeah.
Because I've always told everybody, create the agency that you want,
Mm-hmm.
that goes around you. Like, why would you want to create an agency for someone else?
Yeah. I think the you got to be careful building it around you, and I think that's one thing. Even now, I'm still really cautious with the team when they're like, "We got
Yeah.
to put you in here, or we got to do this, or you need to be the face." I'm like, "No, no, you guys need to be the face. Like, you're the talent, you're the thing." And maybe it's ego, maybe it's right, which is a big piece of this. Um, is you have to get around to a place where like I'm excited about building the machine and building the systems and building the culture and building the company. So the idea of me being the face of everything, I'm like, well, why did I hire like the smartest people that are the best at this, the best at that, and getting people to actually make a statement is something that's really hard, even if they're totally qualified to do it.
I like I like that. I would add to it. I look at if you're the face of the organization, which I think as a founder, as a CEO, you should do. And a lot of people will say, well, then it's not sellable or the clients are always going to want me. Well, then that goes to another system, right? Because the business is sellable. You sold,
Yeah,
right? For
yeah,
a good amount. So congrats. Gary Vaynerchuk's built an amazing brand, built Media on
yeah.
his personal brand,
Mm-hmm.
and he could sell it for an awful lot.
Whole lot. Yeah,
Right? So, but where we have to kind of put on our architect hats or our CEO leadership hats is when our team comes to us for things going, hey, you need to go do this. Then we need, what I did is I had to be like, I had to architect things going, all right, how can I give them the stuff that I know? Because I had a big ego a long time ago. I'd be like, no one's better than me. Like, you have to think you're the best or you can't become the best.
yeah,
If you don't think you're the best, why is anybody else? So I had to have an ego back then. And so then I would go, what makes me different? It's all my stories I know
yeah,
and the things that I've helped out with. So, how can I transfer my knowledge and the stories to my team? Or how can I put certain frameworks? Like I always talk about the 131 method, where it's when someone comes to me for a problem, I'm like, all right, cool. That's the problem. That's the one. What are three things that we possibly could do? And what do you recommend? You do that enough, they're going to stop fucking coming to you because they're like, Jason's just going to do that 131 witchcraft shit on me. And then, right. And then you
yeah,
just do it and you build these layers, and especially with AI now. Think about how much knowledge transfer we can give to AI to give the ability for other people on our team to make decisions. Or how are they using AI to make themselves better? Versus a lot of the people are like, they think AI is just going to ChatGPT and
yeah,
like chatting with it. But how could you build, take your mind, all the stuff you know? That's what we've done. Think about, I've been doing this podcast for 13 years. I've taken all of that, all those transcripts, all that data, all that stuff, fed it into the models,
yeah.
right?
It's amazing. I mean, I'm really deep in AI now, and one because I need to lead by example. It's like if I expect the team to. Two, it's amazing how fast the ball is moving, and it's
Daily.
still picking up speed. I was at Profound, if you know them. So they're kind of the lead AEO, GEO, whichever acronym you like, um, agent tracking tool. And it'll tell you how many people came to your website from there. It'll tell you uh, what you're ranking for, what you can optimize, all of those things. And it's really a premium tool. They had a conference last week in San Francisco called Zero Click. And I think the Zero Click name is really interesting because they also just launched their own agents. So they can have things, you can set them up to run all the time, update when you need people in the loop, when you don't need people in the loop. They have partnership with Webflow. You can port stuff straight into Webflow via MCP. And some of the stats, so G2, the kind of like B2B software listing service, they gave an incredible presentation. And the two stats that stuck with me were 44% of whether it's professional services or B2B sales start with a chat. So whether that's, Anthropic, Gemini, ChatGPT. It starts
Mhm.
there. 44% of them start. 90% of deals close with someone on the short list from day one. So basically, if ChatGPT doesn't think you're in the top three,
Bye
90%
bye.
likely you're never getting in there to even get a shot at the deal or
Yeah.
close it. And then the other stat that I thought was wild, and this is the MCP thing where, right, like the agents can go do things themselves, is 20% of Stripe's signups today happen through MCP by agents with no humans.
Yeah. No, it's dramatically changing. And for, it's kind of like a lot of agencies have come to me and be like, am I going to be replaced? I'm like, well, it depends. Right. Like if you think about when the internet came out, like I started my agency in 99, right? And the internet was just getting going. Well, there was jobs created that we've never heard of. Web designer, web programmer, right? Like
Webmaster.
webmaster. Oh, yes, the webmaster. Love that title. But like it's the same thing with AI, right? The cool thing about AI is there has to be a director to it. And that's where the agencies come in,
Yeah.
right? Because someone's always going to, like, there's going to be certain people like me that I don't need an agency. I
Mm-hmm.
don't. Like, I can go out and do it. I like geeking out on this shit. That's perfectly fine. Is that the majority of the world? Hell no, it's not.
No.
It's like a 0.0001% of people that could want to do that. All the other people, they're going to want to talk to people. Hey, here's my problem. Go do it. Right. But like, if your agency is thinking like, I always laugh when agency go, man, this is a huge advantage for us AI. I'm like, it's actually not an advantage. It's a requirement
Mm-hmm.
because not everyone's doing it right now, which yeah, I can see why you think that's an advantage, but everybody's going to be using it. So everyone needs to level up,
Yeah.
get better, not just on producing content or chatting and getting that AI buffet slop, right?
Yeah. 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 I think building the systems, building the talent around what it is, and actually that architect role is actually really important in deploying AI. And I have this balance when I'm talking with the team where 50% of it is like, I need to make sure I'm not scaring them. And they're going, I'm just out of a job and we're just going to automate X, Y, and Z. And the go-getters, the people who are the makers, the people who are excited to go, oh, now I can do this. Those are the people who I think are really going to exceed. And I think the agencies that are going to evolve to have teams of orchestrators are going to be the incredible ones. And I think
Well,
I read a really interesting article headline the other day and it said for software, the floor has been raised, but not the ceiling. And I think we're taking on initiative internally, and I'm trying to keep it to a really small team to kind of, if you know, harvest and forecast, um,
mhm.
really well adopted, good software, but also not incredibly complex. I think I've looked at it 100 times and said, like, we should just build this because we pay for this every month
And you could build it very easy
and we
right
can
now.
build it. And I'm going, let's take this as a tool. And there's also two or three key features that I really want that I've talked to them about numerous times. But they have that 37 signals model where they just have a bunch of subscribers and money's coming in. And maybe they have a software development team, maybe not anymore. But I go, let's build it. Let's get the features. Let's have Claude start everything, put it in the Figma MCP, and let's get it there to that 80%. And then let's use what we're world class at to get it to 100%. And then let's do the same for the code framework and the front end and figure out how we can deploy it.
Yeah,
But
you
let's
could.
make sure we can really like make this something that we'd want to use. And there's like 10% of me that goes, if we spend enough time, we could easily just market it and figure out how to sell it. Um, and maybe we get there, maybe not, but it's just a really good experiment right now to go like, how far can we push the agent to do the work?
Here's my thought. I like that. And you could definitely be the Lamborghini to the Ferrari, right? You
Yeah.
remember if you've ever heard that story of Lamborghini going to Ferrari, hey, you should do this, and
Yeah.
Ferrari kind of poo-pooing on them and like, well, fuck it, I'm gonna just go do
Do it
it.
myself. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's an option, but I also think like how much is that going to increase your business? Right? Like if you're using it as, because I see a lot of agencies doing this. They'll be like, I can, because you can build anything now.
Yeah.
That's the most amazing thing. We're creative, we're innovative, we understand process, so we could literally build any software we want,
Yep.
which is very dangerous for our time management
Yes.
of going, all right, well, cool. If we're going to put all our energy here, I mean, you're going to learn from it. You're going to learn a lot of mistakes and be like, all right, how can I do this to other things? But what if you actually started putting that into other things that, like solving other business challenges in the business rather than, time reporting or whatever it is. I'm not saying
Yeah.
yes or no or whatever.
And I'm thinking of this as an R&D project for the
Yep.
learnings to take to other things. So we already have agents operating in the business and running automated time tracking, reporting, running. Like we don't need to take this on. I think it's big enough and small enough at the same time to really go like, what's the process to start with nothing and prompt a net new file with Figma in through the MCP and then make changes and make sure it knows you actually change things and then
Yep.
deploy those through the process. And it's just, again, like, I don't think this is a big project. This isn't incredibly important either. So we're going to put client work first in
Which
there. But it,
which always takes priority, which always pissed me off and
yeah,
cost me millions later on.
you either need to budget it and treat it like client work or you need to,
we
um,
I we created our CMS, our email marketing software and e-commerce software in 2001. And then we kept having clients ask for different things
yeah,
and we can never, and this was drag and drop CMS back then,
yeah, that's
right?
pretty
Like it was
impressive
just,
back then.
yeah, I was like, oh, this could have been,
Could have been
but
Webflow.
yeah, could have been all of it. Yeah. My buddy sold Pardot maybe
Yeah.
6 years later for like $100 million. And I was like, and he was even profitable. I was like, man, it's like, I could have been there.
Could have been there, yeah. But that's a different mission than being an agency and building a product and
It is,
getting
it
people
is,
and
right?
marketing
So
that.
I want to talk a little bit about how are you giving the power to your team on AI and getting them over to the scared part, because how I look at everyone on your team, those 5 roles I described,
Mm-hmm.
those could be everybody too, right?
Yeah.
Those are operators in your company. How do I get them to a manager? How do I get those managers to architects and up, right? Those are the people I'm looking for, not the ones that are happy at project manager for life.
Yeah.
Right. But what I find is a lot of the agency founders are hoarding AI to make them better, but they're not releasing it to their team or making their team or putting the right people on the team that are experimenting with it too. So now it becomes like this incubator
Yeah.
of all these people. Like, how can we make everyone in the company better, not just the owner better? Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I see that because I think I have a goal of exactly that, of making sure everyone is AI enabled. And sometimes that means, okay, right, everyone on my team has access to ChatGPT, Claude, and Gemini. So it's like whatever flavor they want, they have access for that. The development team has access to a whole suite of tools going in through that.
Do they even program anymore outside of vibe coding?
No, they do. They really do, and I think they're still not happy with it. But we have a whole initiative again about how do we make people better, and I think of it very different for different people, because I think to create the quality of work we do and we take tremendous pride in, vibe coding is not there. That doesn't mean we're not using AI, leveraging the tool, trying to get better and faster, but it's not there yet. So we're constantly fixing these issues. And sometimes it's easier to fix it than just go to version 43, as I just did with the spreadsheet and just found more.
It's annoying sometimes when you're talking AI. You're like, really? Just move, like You had to just move it one place.
Yes, yes.
And it took me 47 times to tell you, like, I could have just done it.
Yeah, I could have
Yeah.
just done it. I spent 9 hours merging a spreadsheet. I'm not that good at Excel, but I think I could have made it happen.
Mm.
But so for the devs, like we have a whole so company wide, we have something called Growth World Tour, where we have different topics, everything from like personal finance. This time we're talking about Sean Archer's Happiness Advantage. We've had Imagineers from Disney come. We had Airbnb talk to us about rolling out a net new product. We've been really lucky to have just network come in and be willing to share what they do and how they do it. And we have a special one going right now for Dev World Tour that's just about leveraging AI and making sure whether it's the team sharing with each other what they're learning, external people coming in and how they're working. And the very first one was just that mindset of like, all right, in 6 months, 2 years, whatever timeline you want to put on it, you're not going to be coding and you're going to be orchestrating this. And you need to be very clear about what's happening and what's going through. Or we have one about the orchestra or the swarm, however you want to call it, and defining all of the roles of all of the people and all the checks. And so dev's probably ahead of everyone else. Um, our QA lead is building some special tools for the producers to like make the perfect ticket and ask questions and make sure that like every feature gets like an actual PRD level detail. Um, and right, it's going to take in meeting transcripts and generate tickets and ask questions and do all of those things. And then design has been leaned in for a really long time. So we've been fortunate. We've been working with Google on these really interesting AI projects, and we were involved in the creation of Flow, which is the video generation tool. Uh, the team has had access to that and Midjourney and every other tool for a long time, and we see this as a huge opportunity, and a requirement that now when we make something, we're going to be making content. We're going to be making content at a whole different level because we've always had the creative chops and the taste and the ideas, but actually putting on a TV production is an entirely different skill set, entirely different practice, entirely different cost to your client. So we're going, yeah, now everything we do gets to actually look like we want it to do, and we're going to generate everything. So again, producers have one set of tools, designers another, developers another, um, and I'm waiting for someone to come to me and say, I built this really interesting thing. I went off and I did this and built that. And like, here's where I've been working on this in my off time. And it's not that I want people killing themselves in their off time. I want them working to be better and
Yeah.
realizing the shift is happening.
Yeah. Well, the shift already happened.
Yeah.
Like, it's literally, I have my event next week as we record this for Elevate. And, I worked on my keynote 2 months ago.
Yeah.
And then I've scrapped it this week because I was like, everything's changed again.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like I need to talk about more of this foundational stuff and how to really become that AI leveraged agency.
Yeah.
And like, I almost look at, we're talking about AI, agency or agent AI first and all that kind of stuff. If you think back when digital agency started, we were interactive agency.
Yeah.
Then we said digital agency. And now if you're not doing digital, you're not even an agency.
Yeah.
Like I kind of see that same trend to be like, this is a requirement.
Yeah. And I think
So,
there's a M&A consultant called Everos, and they're local. And I just met with them and I ended up on their email list. They sent out this email from an M&A perspective, and it had a white paper attached. And the white paper is basically like, here's what we're looking for. And like, we don't want to know that everyone on your team has ChatGPT. Who cares about that? It's what have you actually deployed within your agency that leverages cost and like what, you know, invoicing, PO, accounting, what just happens now? Because the
yep.
invoices come in, it checks against the PO. Agents can ask your team, is this approved? And do all that as opposed to you continuing to do those things manually and go, okay, great. Now I have one accountant instead of two. Um, Hopefully, we find something more interesting for them to do in the business. But those type of
Yeah.
things where it's like,
What?
where's AI hitting the bottom line?
Yeah. I see this is my prediction for next year. People will have agents for themselves.
Yeah,
So there'll be like a little mini team to come into other companies. And if you think about, let's say you have, I think you said 30, 33 people,
yeah,
right? Times, let's say each of them have five,
yeah,
right? Like that's a lot more power. Where most people are just still going to AI right now. They're asking, what should I do or create this
yeah.
versus how you should be using AI is here's my problem. How can you fix this? Go do it.
I
Like you
have
can do it.
I have 4 agents myself. I wouldn't say any of them are done. I actually wouldn't even say any of them are good yet. But they have self-learning loops, so they create drafts for me um, after meetings, and then I change them, especially when they're really bad, and it relearns. I suggested this. This is what actually happened, and it has the transcript for my meeting. So that's like having the self-learning piece is really important. Having one as kind of my EOS um, integrator for me and going, what can I take care of? What's this? And thinking of itself as
Mhm.
being an enabler. For me, I have a coach who listens to every meeting and makes sure, one, I don't talk too much, happens at us agency founders. Two, give me grades, give me certain things to think about, like, hey, you should be challenging assumptions, you should be doing this. It has a bunch of advice from Carol DeWitt and Scott Galloway and Warren Buffett and a whole bunch of other people baked into it to give me that. And then I get a roll up at the end of the day, like, hey, today you got a B. Um,
It's
I don't,
fantastic.
yeah, I think
Right.
it's not hard enough, though. I've never got less than a C.
Yeah.
So,
Well, yeah, you should tell, it just learns. The cool thing about AI is today is the worst day it will ever be.
yes. Yeah.
So,
But again, I think, like you said, getting the team to embrace, like, even what would I want my agents to be? What would I want them to do? How can they help me? Is is a shift in the mindset.
well, I think it's just like managing anybody. When you're a manager, you make the mistake of managing tasks rather than managing outcomes. I think it's the same thing with AI. And I don't think people put enough time when they jump into AI
Yeah.
to train it, right? Like one of the things I'll be talking about at Elevate next week is really kind of creating your AI operating system. It has all the context. It has exactly what you want, how you want it, the frameworks you use, the tones that people use, all the data that makes you unique. And everyone needs to create their own AI operating system to put into whatever model that's good that day
Yeah.
versus, one model. And when you can do that, that's when you start going. That's when I created that operating system, I was like, aha, like something switched
Mm-hmm.
going. I was using AI just to like get AI slop because I never gave it the context it needed from, a context layer. I never gave it a decision layer. I never had a workflow layer. I didn't have all these layers that I needed in order to like I was training a regular person,
Yeah.
right? Like I was like thought just miraculously it would go do and it doesn't. So it's fun how it adapts. I felt like I've worked more than I've ever have just trying to keep up with AI, and I don't think anybody can keep up with AI.
No.
But I'm excited about it, and it's a lot of fun. So, but Dave, this is a lot of fun, man. I appreciate you coming on the show. Congrats so much on selling the agency
Thank
and
you.
getting over that mark. That's a huge accomplishment. Not many people get over 1 million or 8 figures or even sell. So congrats. And for everyone listening, if you enjoyed it, make sure you subscribe. Also, make sure you check out my new book coming out. It's called Owner or Operator to Owner Evolution. So go to operator to ownerevolution.com. Check that out. And until next time, have a swank day.